Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I'm the Gothic Rose, and this is the dark tale of the day. Yes, dear fiends of the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network is a channel where the news meets conspiracy theories. It makes babies in my brain and it comes out my mouth. We explore the darkest stories from the deepest corners of Hollywood and the world. If you like this sort of entertainment, be sure to like, follow, and hit that bell because I am not going to stop. Hello, dear fiends of the Den. We are back with more haunted history of Hollywood, and today we are talking the impact of Jewish cinema on Hollywood. Hollywood's roots, like I said, from the 1920s were gangster related. But in the 1920s and 30s, Jewish cinema wasn't just influential, it was the foundation and it shaped Hollywood's identity. It reflected the immigrant experience and quietly wrestled with assimilation, erasure, and power in ways that echo today. So let's discuss. So it's no surprise that the first talkie film, The Jazz Singer in 1927, was the story of a Jewish cantor. Hollywood's roots, like I said, from the 1920s were gangster related. But in the 19 it's just very interesting, especially with everything that is going on in the world today, to know that one of the biggest pieces of American history was founded by Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe. So Warner Brothers, Paramount, MGM, Fox, Universal, and Columbia were all founded by Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe, and Louis B. Mayer and Carl Laemmle created the studio system that allowed them to control production, distribution, exhibition, and of course, the actors themselves. Now, their Jewish identity was often downplayed publicly, but behind the scenes, they built Hollywood as a kind of a safe space for outsiders, and this shaped American culture while navigating anti Semitism. So, just like in yesterday's show, I said films like The Jazz Singer dramatized the tension between tradition and assimilation, mirroring the real life struggles of Jewish Americans trying to fit into mainstream society. And Jewish characters were often altered or erased in adaptations, or de-Semitization was common, with names and traits changed to appeal broader audiences. Despite this, Jewish themes, generational conflict, intermarriage, cultural loss, surfaced in coded ways, especially in Yiddish language films and early melodramas. So it's really interesting to see how they downplayed a lot of things. And well, Adam Sandler wrote the song. He told us who was Jewish in Hollywood. Tom Cruise isn't, but I heard his agent is. So, in the 1930s, with the rise of anti Semitism, with the rise of Mustache Guy coming up and feelings, against Jewish people, they started to overtly avoid Jewish stories on screen, fearing backlash, and avoided using the word JEW because of the rise of Nazism and anti Semitism in the US. This led to self censorship, and they just, started to change the way they presented themselves and stories in Hollywood. It started to become more broad. This era really did lay the groundwork for Hollywood's storytelling machinery, but it also encoded a hidden history of survival, reinvention, and resistance. So, what we've got here is how people wanted to tell their stories in the beginning. But what happened is the times changed and people were forced to hide identities, hide who they are. I'm sure a lot of people owe history, feel that way today, trying to hide from the ICE Gestapo, who, by the way, are feeling demoralized, and you should, because you're doing something terrible and it's never too late to do the right thing. So, with that, I leave you with this haunted history of Hollywood. If you have any tips you'd like to give me, let me know, and let me know what you think of this and more. That was a little babbly. Sorry, you guys have a great day. Thank you for joining me in the den. If you have any stories you'd like to share or would like to be a guest in the den, please email me at welcome to the den podcast at gmail.com. Must be 21 and over. And if you like dark, creepy stories as much as I do here in the den, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And as always, thank you for joining me here at the Dark Entertainment Network.